All right. Hello, everyone. Before I begin, a few things I want to say, and let me point out a couple things. This is my little friend. Meet my little friend, however that line goes. Sometimes he animates and comes and visits me, but I'm just messing with you. This is a very old poster that I've had for a very long time, and I absolutely love that poster. Wish it wasn't all crinkled, but it's very crinkled. It got taken a lot of damage, but it's still somewhat intact. A lot of tape up there at the top, you can see. All right, and this over here, you might be seeing the statue. What's that statue in your closet? That head. Let me show you. Okay, I've brought it down to show you. My father was not only, for those of you who don't know, my father was an artist for a large part of his life, and he painted all his life. He ended up becoming an architect for a while. This is a sculpture he did. Turned it around so you can see how it all looks. But he is an amazing artist, and his name was Tristan Meineke. So if you Google his name, we've even got some YouTube videos about him. I made some on my channel. We had an art show in 2013. There's a video of that. This is another bust that he did. He did sculpture. This was of his dad, oddly enough. This is Bruno Meineke, a Latin professor at the University of Michigan. Very proper and distinguished man who spoke properly. Latin professor, what are you going to do? I'll even show you a little of his art. All right, I've got a dirty piece of art here that's just sitting on the floor in my game room. I'm going to hold it up. It's pretty wild looking. Make sure I got it pretty much in the camera. There we go. He just assembled this thing. He calls it UFA, Unidentified Flying Anger. I love that title. All right, let me put it down. I could show you a lot more. I've got quite a few of his pieces here in my apartment. I think I made a video where I walked around my apartment and showed them. So you can probably find it on my channel. Just type in my dad's name, Tristan Meineke, and it should come up. This is probably going to be a long video because I want to show you a few things before I get into the Neville Goddard stuff that I wanted to talk about. On my channel right now, I have been doing like several things. I've been reading this book, and I just took a poll in the community post just a couple days ago, and nobody voted to keep reading fantasy novels. So this might be the last fantasy novel that I read. This is part of a trilogy, and I just found out he's actually written 6 books for this. Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold by Terry Brooks. It's an amazing story. And I'm reading it. I did a review just yesterday, and that's on my channel if you'd like to see my review of this book with no spoilers. I'm also reading this book, which is a very interesting book. I have one major problem with it. Other than that, I like it. It's a very cool book. This has a lot of cool things. Just one major problem. And I'm also reading this Dungeons and Dragons module for those of you interested in D&D, and that, oddly enough, came, I think, in second place on my poll. The thing that most of you want is for me to sit here and talk about stuff, which is what I'm going to do now. I've been doing it, and I'm continuing to do it. The second most was D&D and gaming stuff. I made a lot of Wyvern videos. Wyvern is a card game that I play, and I'm still playing, and this was an empty booster box of it. It's one of my favorite card games. It was done back in the 90s. It was popular for about a year. It ran maybe 2 years and died like all the other card games. But I'm reading this. I want to give a shout out to the YouTube channel Ye Old Geek. He did an excellent review and rating of this module. Watch it. If you're a fan of this module, if you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, I'll try to remember. I don't know if I'll remember to put the link to his channel. Ye Old Geek, OLDE. Excellent review. He knows what he's talking about. I'm fumbling through this. I played it a long time ago. I ran it as a dungeon master, but I don't think we finished it. And it's 3 modules, so there's a lot to read, and these are 32 pages long. So in addition to those 3 things that I'd love for you to listen to, they are all in their own playlist. I might even put the playlists in the description below so that you can just click on them and start at the beginning. That way it's very easy to listen to that stuff. You don't have to go searching around my channel. Where is this book that you're reading? In addition to that, there are 2 other books that are in playlists on my channel. Actually, there's 2 short stories on my channel too. I'm going to talk about those briefly here. I'll try to be brief. A lot of you already know what I'm talking about, but this is my novel that I wrote a few years ago. Forastera's Fate, Book 1, The Sacred Shrine in the Valley of Caves. There's stuff on the back that talks about it. I've already gone through that. I then wrote after a year of having writer's block and not thinking I was ever going to write again, something inspired me, which I talk about even in this book. I talk about it in my, the opening stuff where you say my dedications to the book. The Caves of Ordered Randomness, more stuff on the back. And I've narrated both of these books on my channel. So if you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, you like this. This is Dungeons and Dragons in story form. I've narrated it. You can listen to it. There's 8 characters in the adventuring party, 8 people, 2 girls and 6 guys. There's 3 humans, a dwarf, an elf, a half-elf, a halfling, and a gnome. No dragonborn, no tiefling, none of them. It's all old school D&D stuff. But they are called wizard, rogue, warrior, and those are newer terms for those classes. They were originally called fighter, magic user, thief. I don't like thief. I like magic user. I actually prefer magic user to wizard, but both are fine. I like fighter. I like warrior. They're interchangeable. Doesn't matter to me. But if you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, listen to my introductory video. It's an introductory video. It's basically a session 0, which is more of a new school concept, but that's what it is. It's the first time you sit down to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Master has to give you the background. That's what that video is. It's about 15 minutes long. There are visuals that will start after about a minute and a half. You will see the map of the world. I created my own world, not just a story, but I actually created a world. That is the world of Forastera. Drew that over 20 years ago with colored pencils. The story wasn't even a thought in my head at the time. I was just working on my D&D campaign, which I ended up turning into this story. The D&D campaign that I never got to play for various reasons that make me very sad, as my cat is going to start whining now because he has to. Oh, you're making a video? Let me sit there and go, meow, meow. He does this all the time. It's so funny. So the campaign that I worked on for years, couldn't play it, decided I'm just going to roll up 8 characters, or create 8 characters, and go adventuring with them by writing out what happens. And it turned into this novel that I wrote, and then I wrote book 2. Hopefully I'll write books 3, 4, and 5. It's supposed to be a 5-book series. We'll see if that ever happens. Okay, enough of all of that. Let me check on my cat, and then I'm going to talk about Neville Goddard. Okay, so the reason I wanted to talk about Neville again, I've talked about him before. Well, let me just get into it. I had tried his ladder experiment. If you don't know what Neville's ladder experiment is, I'm going to tell you. There is a video, if I can, I should be able to find it. I will include links to these things in the description. Again, there might be a lot of links to a lot of things. The stuff I just mentioned, the playlists for all the stuff I'm reading, the playlist for my books. I will try to include the playlist for the video, not the playlist, the video of Neville's ladder experiment that this guy talks about. I am very frustrated that I have not been able to get Neville's manifesting technique to work. As I understand it, most people can't get it to work. And that's frustrating because it should work. Let me tell you, how do I want to do this? Let me just think about this for a second. All right, I'll just tell the story. So Neville's ladder experiment works like this. If you'd like to try it, you can. And like I said, I'll include the links. You have to go to bed for 3 nights. I don't know why it's 3. I don't think it matters. But I think it was, and I'm going from memory. It was 3 nights. You go to sleep at night and you imagine that you're climbing a ladder. Literally every point. So you imagine that you're on the ladder and you lift your hand up, and then you lift up your leg, and then you lift your hand, and every movement, all the way to the top of the ladder, and then you come back down. And you go up and down and up, and just keep climbing up and down the ladder in your imagination. You see yourself make it as vividly real as you can make it. Feel yourself grabbing the ladder. And I did this for 3 nights. Now, I didn't fall asleep in my imagined state. The idea is to fall asleep in your imagined state. Maybe that's why it didn't work. Maybe. Because I couldn't fall asleep, because I'm focusing on climbing the ladder, and I finally just couldn't do it anymore. It was getting nauseating. But I did it for 3 nights, as best as I could. Then what you have to do is you have to write like Post-it notes or notes of some kind all over where you live. Your bathroom mirror, where you eat, everywhere you can post it. I will not climb a ladder. Write it. Post it. I did this. And read it every morning you get up. So on the 4th day, you've done this for 3 nights, the 4th day, and you say, I will not climb a ladder. And you have to mean it. You have to be totally committed that you will not climb a ladder. So if the opportunity presents itself and there's a ladder that you could climb, you say, nope, I'm not climbing it. I said I won't. You have to mean it. I didn't mean it. Now, I saw a lot of ladders, more than I have ever seen for that week. I saw ladders every day, and I wanted to climb them so I could say it worked, which is stupid. That's not how it works. I did it wrong. Don't do that. Be committed that you will not climb. Okay? So there's this man, and I'll try to find the link and share it with you. He did this experiment. And one day that week, a day or 2 later, whatever it was, he's going to visit his mom and dad. And his dad is out on the ladder on the house. And he goes into the house, and his mom says, hey, could you take this and give this to your dad? And without thinking about it, without even realizing it, he goes up the ladder and hands it to his dad. He goes, oh my God, I just climbed the ladder. So he did it. He climbed the ladder. Now, Neville said when he did this, it was a room full of people. And he said, you cannot come back next week unless you climb the ladder. If you don't climb the ladder, you cannot come. You can't come until you climb a ladder, in case they wanted to try the next week. And then I stopped. After 1 week, I said no, because I was trying to fall asleep in my imagined state that I was living in my dream home, and I decided I'm just going to go back to doing that. But when this didn't work, I was kind of like, oh, maybe that's the problem. This isn't working. And from that day forward, I had doubts and just didn't know what to do anymore. But I kept imagining that I was sleeping in my dream home, because that's what I want, damn it. So the guy said the reason he did it was he was distracted and he didn't even think about it. And he said that's what Neville taught, is that even though you are saying you won't do it, Neville was teaching that your imagination is more powerful than your will. That it will have you climb that ladder, even though you're committed not to do it. It will figure it out. It will make it happen. Why? Because your imagination is God, and God is all powerful. Now, to further prove to people, Neville's given many lectures about how this works and how he does it. Let me tell you, this one story blew my freaking mind, because people say, well, you can't just imagine and not do anything. And Neville always said, don't think about how you're going to do this thing, how you're going to bring this about. Neville couldn't be more clear. Forget about that, he said. You couldn't possibly conceive of how you're going to bring about your wish fulfilled, this thing that you want. You could never conceive of how to do it. So to try to do it would be to go against the very power that exists in you, which is going to do it for you. He was clear as day about this. And people to this day tell me that, oh no, if you just imagine and don't do anything, well, then nothing's going to happen. But Neville said, don't do anything. And here's the proof of it. Okay, he gives an example. Neville got, I don't know, drafted into the army. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know the full story, but he was in the military. And he didn't want to be there. He wanted to come home. He was married and he had a kid. And he tried to get an honorable discharge. And he was told, nope, not happening, never going to happen. His commanding officer said that he said, this is not going to happen. Stop, don't ask, don't bother. It's not going to happen. Now, Neville knew something that this man didn't know. So there's no chance. Neville's stuck. He's in the military. There's nothing he can do. There's no way he's going to get that honorable discharge because his commanding officer said no, and you're never going to get it. I don't know the circumstances, but Neville understood that your circumstances don't matter. And this is what he wanted to show all of us, that our circumstances, you could be on death row, you could be serving life in prison, you could be homeless, you could be wherever you are. He wanted to be home. There was zero chance he was going home. So what does he do? He imagines that he's sleeping in his home with his wife and his child. Every night he went to bed in the military, imagining that he was in his house. And his imagination, being God, made it happen. You know how long it took? 9 days. Now, it's interesting that it's 9 days because 9 is the magic number. For those of you who don't know, look up the YouTube video about vortex math. 9 is the king number. Tesla talked about if we only knew the power of 369, we would have the secrets to the universe. Energy, frequency, and vibration. 9 is king. Just happens that it was on the 9th day, he did nothing. He said, I did nothing. All I did was sleep. And on the 9th day, his commanding officer, for whatever reason, I forget the circumstances, he talks about it, gave him his honorable discharge, and he went home. And he said the reason it happened is because his imagination is God, and God is all powerful, and there's nothing God can't do for you. And at that point, when I heard that, I said, I want this power. Who wouldn't want this power? Whatever your circumstances are, you can have what you want. You can have the life that you want. All you have to do is believe that it's already yours. And Neville said in another lecture that after you've fallen asleep in your imagined state, and I had never heard him say this before, up until this point, until just like this, I just heard this maybe less than 6 months ago. There's only one thing you still have to do. And I went, wait, what? You said if I fall asleep in my imagined state, it is done. And that's what he did. He fell asleep in his imagined state, and he knew it was done. He knew he was going home. He just didn't know how long it would take. He had no clue how long it would take. It just happened to take 9 days. I'm losing my train of thought here. So what he said was, the one thing you still have to do is you've planted the seed. Now you have to water it, nurture it. That's all that you have to do. And basically what he meant, from what I understood as I listened to him just a few months ago, is that when you get up the next day, that you've fallen asleep in your imagined state, you have to go about your day fully believing, fully knowing that it's done. You're no longer looking for it. You're no longer trying for it or hoping for it or saying, I wonder when it's going to happen. No, it's done. It's already done. And so you go about your day calm, relaxed, happy, content, feeling wonderful because it's done. And that's how he lived for those 9 days. He knew he was going home in the future. You can look at it like that. He did. He knew it was done. And I'm like, but I kind of did that. But regardless, I've never been able to get this to work. Never. And I think that most people, when they listen to a manifesting video from some manifesting guru on YouTube, if I had to guess, if 100 people listen to it, somewhere between 0 and 5 people will get it to work. That would be my guess. Now, why so few? Maybe it has to do with our mental makeup. Maybe it has to do with who we are and what we really believe. But I have a big problem with, what, is it too hard for God to do it? If I imagined, if that's all I needed was to imagine, why didn't it work? Neville got an honorable discharge when he was told he cannot get it. It is not available. He will not give it to him. Because he had no reason to give him an honorable discharge. He just wanted out of the military. You can't. You got to have a reason to get out of the military to get an honorable discharge. And he didn't have one. Other than he wanted to go home, be with his wife and kid. At least that's how I understand it. If you imagine that you're climbing a ladder and you say you're not, even if you're committed to not doing it, your imagination, being God, will cause you to climb a ladder without you even realizing it. But I can't get this to work, and I've imagined falling. I have gone to bed at night for years imagining. I don't do it anymore. For the most part, I don't really do it much at all. I still think about it. I imagine that I was sleeping in my master bedroom of my dream home. And I wasn't alone. And I imagined that I was living my dream life. And I, for a long time, was certain this was going to work. I just had to be patient, just relax, and just don't worry about it. I was given every kind of advice, because I said, this isn't working. What am I doing wrong? Oh, well, you got to take action. Oh, no, here's what you got to do. I was told so many different things. I'm like, wow, you guys can't even agree on anything. You don't even know, because you're giving me conflicting ideas of what I'm supposed to do. So I tried different things. I tried affirmations. I tried robotic affirmations. I tried letting go. Tried everything. I'm sure I haven't tried everything, but I've tried a lot. I did scripting. I did know Joseph Murphy's write down these things that you want. The Little Red Book on YouTube. There's a video called The Little Red Book. I tried that. But I didn't do it as consistently as I should have. But every night I imagined I was sleeping in my dream home. And I'm sure I fell asleep a few times. I don't know how often, rarely, because it's hard. Has anybody fallen asleep in your imagined state? Have you done it? Is it easy for you? It's hard for me. And it's really, really frustrating that I can't get this to work. Oh, and that's the other thing. So when the guy climbed the ladder, he goes back to the meeting. And very few people were at the meeting next week. So it was a room full of people, and now there's very few people. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? This does not work for most people. That's proof of it. And what did Neville say to those people? This is basically what he said. Now, you people just climbed a ladder. Now, you just as easily could have made $1 million. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So, in other words, according to Neville, making $1 million is no different than climbing a ladder. You just have to believe it, know that it's true, imagine that you've done it, and fall asleep in your imagined state, and it'll happen. You can have anything you want in this world. Neville has said this. You can have anything you want. Wealth, fame, doesn't matter. I'm not looking for fame. Don't really want fame. I'm not looking for power. I'm looking for freedom. I'm looking for wealth. Freedom, wealth. And that's, pretty much it. I've already got health. Health is Wim Hof. Just practice the Wim Hof method and you won't get sick. Now, I'm not practicing it as much as I should, so I could still get sick. I have gotten sick a couple times over the last several years, but not nearly as often as I used to. I'm much healthier now because I practice the Wim Hof method. So if this ever was to work for me, I'd practice the Wim Hof method religiously every day because I'd be free and I'd be committed to it. I'm not committed to it right now because I live in a state of frustration, which is why it's not working, right? Yeah, it's not working because I'm in a state of frustration because it didn't work. I started doing this in 2019. It's been 6 freaking years. I've basically given up on it. I'm just hoping that it's just going to all work out for me. It just takes a long time for me because things just take a long time. It's for me, I'm wired differently. And I'm still believing that somehow, some way, this is all going to work out. Because I don't even know why I'm doing this on my channel other than I decided to do it. Reading this stuff. But I'm enjoying it. Now, the poll that I took said, just come on and talk about stuff. Oh, and do some D&D and gaming stuff. Very few people said read spiritual books. I thought this was going to be the second most popular. Nope. And nobody so far has said read more fantasy books. Not one person said, no, there's only been like 15 votes, which for me is quite a lot. I would love to get more votes on that. I'd love to get 100 votes to see how many out of 100 want me to do each of those 4 things. And you can write in the comments anything specifically. You can let me know. I also wrote, for whatever reason, I put it on my Facebook page. I'm just sitting there and I just started having this poem come into my head. And so I started writing it. And I posted it on my Facebook page and then I posted it on the community post and I just wrote it verbatim, just like right there in that moment as I was writing it. I hadn't thought about it or anything. The words just came out to me. And okay, I'm just going to post it. So far, like 1 or 2 people have clicked like on it. 1 person commented on it. Nobody's commented on it on Facebook. So I'm like, why did I do this? I like what I wrote. It's kind of neat and interesting sounding, but very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. Anyway, if you want to see some wild art, and I mean wild art, Tristan Meineke. Our art show that we did is on YouTube. We got the Chicago Tribune came to our home. The people we were working with, who we weren't paying, got the Tribune to come and take photographs and write a full-page article, full spread in Arts and Entertainment Weekly, front page of Arts and Entertainment Weekly of the Chicago Tribune. There's a video by the Chicago Tribune. It's got about 700 or 800 views on YouTube. I couldn't believe they had a video. The Chicago Tribune has a video about my dad's art. But it only got like 700 or 800 views, which really isn't much for the Chicago Tribune. But I don't know how many people subscribe to that. I don't know anything about it. And our video doesn't have very many views either, but it has some. It's not on my channel. I did my own video of my dad's art, walking around showing my dad's art, talking. I also did a video of my mom, who was in Chicago television in her day. Back before Captain Kangaroo and Ray Rayner and all those people, she had a children's television show called The Playhouse. And I've never seen it because I think all of the episodes were done live. I think she played jazz music. She had a puppet that she designed. It was her own puppet. But one day, my mom decided in the 1950s to take a multiracial promotional shoot. Pics of non-white kids. No one would work with her anymore. She got death threats, and that was the end of her career. And she said, I don't give a whiff. And she walked away gladly. And I was like, Mom, I admire your stance on racial equality, but, you didn't have to throw away your career. Can only imagine what would have happened if she remained on the path that she was on. If you look up Angel Casey, it will come up on Google. Angel Casey, Casey, and click on the photographs that are there, and you will see the multiracial. There's 2 pictures that she took. This was her. She had the freedom to do this. She did it, and it cost her her career. My dad, around 1960, I was born in 1962, was done with the art world. He walked away after being a working artist for over a decade, well over a decade, maybe 2 decades. So he's walked away from his career. She sabotaged her career. And they had this beautiful property on Cleveland, 2022 Cleveland. It's no longer there, but the buildings across the street are still there. I just checked. I was like, look, are they still there? If you scroll down on the community post, you will see my swimming pool that my dad had, my dad's swimming pool in our yard. You got to scroll down maybe like 10 posts. You'll see it, and then just click through the pictures. You'll see the building that they bought in 1960 for $15,000, a 3-flat brick home that he rented out. We lived in the coach house in back, and there's 2 empty lots. $15,000 for all that. Swimming pool. He installed the swimming pool. He had it put in. And when I was 6 years old, for reasons that I will never understand, I didn't care at the time. I was just 6. He moved into an integrated neighborhood, left all of that, found a really cool property where we lived, and it was great. And I grew up playing with black kids, Puerto Ricans, and Mexicans, along with my white friends that I went to school with, mostly white friends. And that was great in one sense, but gee, I would have loved to have stayed in that wonderful little paradise that I was living in. My brother was 13 when that happened, and he was mad. He did not want to leave his paradise. We moved into this tough neighborhood. It wasn't a good neighborhood. Fortunately, my dad is very strong. There's a picture of my dad standing there in his swim trunks at the pool. You can see it. It's black and white. He was a very strong man. Nobody was going to mess with my dad. He was a brawler. My brother referred to him as the two-fisted Da Vinci because he would punch art gallery owners and art curators because he hated them, because they would tick him off and he'd punch them so they wouldn't work with him anymore. And he decided, you know what, I'm done with all you people. You're all a bunch of phony fakes anyway. He hated them. But that cost him his career. Fortunately, he learned architecture. He taught himself architecture and ran an architectural firm on his own. Meineke Tag Architects. That's probably on Google too. He ran it for a little over 10 years. I forget exactly how long. So somehow he survived. The rent paid his mortgage. So that's partly how he survived. There's a great picture of my mom and dad on their 50th wedding anniversary, which you might be able to see if you click on my dad image. Just click on images after you type in Tristan Meineke. Look through the pictures. You'll see a lot of his art. You might see him with my mom. That was their 50th anniversary. You can see that picture too. But if you want to see a real knockout, and it's weird calling my mom a knockout because I never thought of it like that because it's my mom, but she was, and her pictures are online. You can Google image them with Angel Casey. And she was a looker. In her 50s, I remember this because I was there, a man in his 30s, a good-looking man, started flirting with her. She went to the grocery store down the street. There's a local grocery store on our block, and he's flirting with her, and she brings him home to introduce him to her husband. She goes, "Oh no, I'm in my 50s." He goes, "You're not in your 50s." And he goes, "Yes, I am, and I'm married. Would you like to meet my husband?" And he goes, "Okay." He couldn't believe it. So she brings him over, and he's a good-looking guy. And my dad's just sitting there smiling, enjoying this, because this guy can't believe that this woman is in her 50s. And he was nervous, but he was nice, and he was polite. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So when you see the pictures, you'll go, "Oh wow, oh okay, yeah, oh my God." But see, for us, it's just our mom. We didn't know. I can only imagine. My dad said he had to fight people off the street before he had us kids when they were first together, when they were really young. He had to fight guys off the street. Now, I don't know what that fully means. That's how he said it. He had so many men staring at her, looking at her. It's like, holy cow, who's this? Or it might have been that she was already locally famous because she had her own children's television show. So she was locally famous at the time. By the time I was going to school, that fame had died out plenty. People still knew her, and people still knew who my dad was because of his art, but not nearly as much anymore. They basically both faded into obscurity and somehow survived. So, I don't know why I told you all of that, but I felt like talking, and I hope you'll listen to my reading of Terry Brooks' wonderful story, Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. My God, it's wonderful. I've finished reading it, but I'm reading it on my channel. I've finished reading it by myself for the second time. I've read it like 30 years ago, and I wanted to read through it and do a video review of it. And now I'm reading it through, and I'm like up to like chapter 9, and it's just, God, it's such a good story. It's my second favorite story. My first favorite is Roger Zelazny's The Chronicles of Amber. So if you're a fan of fantasy, you should listen to Magic Kingdom, either listen to me read it or buy the book. It's book 1 of 6. I have no idea. I had no idea he had 6 books. And you should definitely listen to Roger Zelazny narrate the books 1 through 5 of the Chronicles of Amber. He narrates it. He's passed on since, but it's on YouTube, thank God, and it's great. It's a phenomenal story. Best fantasy I've ever read. I'll take it over Lord of the Rings. Not everybody will. People will say Lord of the Rings is the best. I think the Chronicles of Amber is the best. And the YouTube channel, The Dungeon Minister, read it. I sent him the copies of the books. He read it and did a live stream about it. He loved it so much. And so you can watch that. You can look him up. The Dungeon Minister, The Chronicles of Amber, it'll come up. He also made a video about my books, Forrester's Fate, because I sent them to him because he has 3 sons who he plays D&D with. And the oldest son read my book twice in 4 days, loved it, read my second book in 1 day, liked it, didn't like it as much as the book 1. Book 1 was his favorite, which is funny because their gaming group called the Heroes of Honeywood, I incorporated them into my story with the Dungeon Minister's approval. He said, yeah, he says, that sounds like a great idea, go for it. So they're in book 2, and he said that his son found it odd to read about his character in the story. He said that was weird for him. I can only imagine. But I also, in my second book, brought Amber, Zelazny's Amber, into my story, which was a risky thing to do, and technically I'm not allowed to do it, but I don't care. I did it. It's on YouTube, and you can listen to it and let me know what you think. Amber is in the story. Heroes of Honeywood are in the story. There's something else in that story too. It's a very unique story that I wrote, book 2. Book 1 is unique in some ways, and in other ways it's not, because I borrowed from D&D materials and incorporated it into the story. It was my D&D campaign. This is my D&D campaign too. Book 2 is my ongoing D&D campaign, which I ultimately will run. I wrote my own module and was hoping to run a group of adventurers, a group of people playing the game, was going to run them through it at some point in my campaign. But who knows if we'll ever play. We started to play once, and after 1 session, we could never get back together again, and then one person's no longer available. So I said, I got to have at least 4 players. Got to have at least 4 players. I'm not going to play D&D with just 3 players. I could, but you can do it. But it's 4 is small. 4 is a small group. You really want 6 to 8 players. That's what I want, ideally. 6 to 8 is what I want. So if anyone's in Chicago and would like to play D&D or would like to play Wyvern, if you'd like, I'm trying to get people together to have a tournament, a Wyvern tournament. I'm going to hopefully be playing Wyvern with my friend tonight. Hopefully I'll make a video of it and I will post it on my channel, and you can see us play the game so you can see how it's played. Hopefully that'll happen tonight. I'm not 100% yet, but that's the plan. But I have other videos of us playing Wyvern on my channel. I've made lots of Wyvern videos. It's a fun card game. If you like Magic the Gathering, I think you'll like Wyvern. It's different. It's different from Magic. And that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. Sorry I'm making another long video, but, it is what it is, man. Hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about Neville Goddard. You can offer me suggestions, but I've heard like 30. Try doing this when you imagine. Try this. You should say this. Do this thing. Everybody's told me what to do. Nothing works. And that's the most frustrating thing in the world. To have that kind of power. That he just imagined he was sleeping in his home and 9 days later he's going home. No chance of that happening, and he's just going home. Did he make that up? Is that all just a lie to sell his manifestation? This really works. See, it works. I don't know. I'll never know. If it ever works for me, you'll know. Oh, you'll know if it ever works for me. For one, I won't be in this apartment anymore. First day I'm in my dream home. When I make a video, I'm going to go, hi, guess where I am? That'll be a hell of a video. All right. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.